Hi folks, in this section, or basically in this video, so we are going to see how we are going to implement the type 1, and for that I already have created a sample mapping. I do not want to create a sample mapping while recording this session, so I already have created a sample mapping and capture the screenshots in the PPT, which will be easy for me to explain, as well as it will save the time as well. So let's start with, I hope if you're not aware of that what is a type 1 SCD type 1, so please look into my other session where I have explained what are the slowly changing dimensions, where I have explained type 1, type 2 and type 3. So to just give you the background, type 1 is where we do not maintain any history. If you go to a supermarket and you give your phone number, and next time if you change your phone number, if you go to the second time in the supermarket with the new number, your new number is going to be updated to the existing record, so there will be no second entry in your in the system of the supermarket. That's how we maintain type 1, where we do not maintain any history. So if you can see that this mapping is pretty simple and small. So I have a source, and then I do have a lookup, and then I have expression, router, update strategy, and the target. So I'll give you the background what exactly I'm trying to do with this mapping, and then we'll go step by step. So I have a customer table as a source, and customer type is my again target table. So basically my source and target are almost similar. So if there is any entry for a customer in my target table, so second time if the same customer or a different customer is coming, before I make an entry into my target, I will check whether that customer already exists in my system or not. That's where the lookup come into the picture. I will check on the target table as a lookup whether that record is already, or whether at least that customer ID is already present or not. If that customer ID is present, then I will check rest of the columns like the age, name, address, city, state of that customer. If there is a change, then I will go and update the existing record. If there is no change, I will filter out that record. And if the customer ID does not exist, I will simply make a new entry. It will be a new insert in the target table. So let us see how my customer table looks like. So my source customer table has information like customer ID, customer name, address, city and state. So these are the columns which talks about a customer, and insert date and update date is a column which will help me to make sure that I maintain type 1 as a part of the SCDs. Okay, so after having a information of your source or the source data, you want to check whether that particular record exists in the target or not, right? So after that, after your source qualifier, I'm going to do a lookup on my target table by passing the customer ID, customer name, address, city and state in my lookup table, and lookup table is target table. Here if you see in the lookup transformation, in the conditions, I have given the condition as a customer ID. So basically I will check, because customer ID is my primary key, so I will check whether the customer ID is already existing in the target table or not. If the customer ID is already existing in the target table, I'm not going to make a new entry for the same customer. And after checking if the customer is not there, then I will make a new entry into the target table. So your first condition is checking whether the same customer ID exists in the target table or not. So after that, what you have to do, go to the properties tab on the same lookup transformation and click on the dynamic lookup cache and select the checkbox in front of the dynamic lookup cache. The moment you select the checkbox, if you go to the ports and see, the two new rows will be created, or basically the two new ports will be created here. One will be called as a new lookup row, another will be called as a PM primary key. So PM primary key is nothing but it's a sequence generator ID. It will start with the 1, 2, 3. It will continue to go up to 2 billions. And the new lookup row will have a value as a 0, 1 or 2, depending upon whether the record exists or do not exist, or there is a no change in the record. So when the record is already there and there is a no change, basically the same record is coming for the second time. So the value of the new lookup row will be 0. If the record does not exist, if the customer ID does not exist, the value of the new lookup row will be 1. And if the record is already there, your customer ID is already present, but let's say your customer ID, customer name, address, city or state, something is changed, so the new lookup row value will be 2. So that's the beauty of having a dynamic lookup. It automatically will tell you whether the value is 0, 1 or 2, whether that record is already there in the target or not, and if it is there, whether there is a change in other columns or not. So once you define how your lookup should looks like, after that what you have to do, pass your lookup transformation to expression transformation and pass all the columns from the lookup to the expression transformation and from expression to router. And what you have to do, you have to create an extra column in the expression transformation which will be your date, and you can consider any date, but in my case I have considered as a system date. So why I'm creating the system date? Because if you remember, initially I have a 2 columns in my source table, which is insert date and update date, right? So those 2 columns will actually help me to insert or update the date in the target table based upon whether I have to do an insert or I have to do an update in my target table. Okay, after that I will reach out to the router, and in the router, if you see here, in the router what I'm going to do, I'm going to filter the records based on the 2 groups. One group will be new lookup row is equal to 1, that will be my insert, and that will say that basically the record does not exist, that customer ID does not exist in my target. And second, new lookup row 2 means that customer ID exists in the target. So here it is just only telling me the customer ID exists. So now there could be a change for the address, there could be a change for the city, there could be a change for anything else. After that router, I have 2 update strategies. Basically one is for insert, another is for update, and both will be pointing to the same target lookup. So it's the same target lookup which has been defined 2 times here. If you observe it carefully, the first part on the top part of the insert strategy, so the date column is basically pointing to insert and update as the same. So because when the record will come for the first time, my insert date and update date will be same. But when your record is coming for update only, you are going to use the update date only. You are not going to insert, or basically there should not be any connection for the insert date. The reason is pretty simple, because it is an updated record, it's not a new record. So you want to make a change, and at the same time you want to mention when there was a update happen for that particular record. You do not want to update the insert date as well. So now let us see how the data looks like. This is my source table which has a 5 records. I have a customer ID from 1 2 3 4 5, customer name is there and their address is there, the city and states are there, and I have a insert date and update date as well. So if you see it here, this is my target table, there is no data in this, and I'm going to run my job. After running my job, it clearly shows that 5 records were there, and since there was nothing in the target, so all 5 went as an insert. So now this is my target table. This is how it looks like. I have a primary key as 1 2 3 4 5, and if you see carefully how my primary key was generated, it was basically the primary key which is I'm getting it from the lookup table, because the lookup table PM primary key gives me the value which gives me 1 2 3 4 5. Every time I will run, it will generate a new number for me. So that's why I have used that as a primary key in my target table as well. So that's the reason that I have a PM primary key as a 1 2 3 4 5, which is a surrogate key for me in the target table, and I have a customer ID which is my primary key. And apart from that, whatever is there, everything came from my source except the insert date and update, which I have generated in the expression transformation. Now after that, I'm going to modify my source data for the second run. So if you see it carefully, the last line is 8006. This is the new line, or basically new entry in my source, which is a brand new line. But if you see it carefully, the third line, which is 80,003, the city is changed. So previously I have a different city, now I have a Gurgaon as a new city. Here in this case, my city is changed. Let me show you the previous city. For 80,003, it was Noida. So now my city has changed from Noida to Gurgaon for the line number 3. So basically I have created a one new record and I have updated the city for the existing record. I ran the job. Now I have a total of 6 records in my source. One is a new entry, so that's why I have a one entry into my new insert. One record is updated because there is a city changed. So if you see it here, the line number 6 is a brand new, which is just added. But if you see the line number 5 or the record number 5 with 80,003, the city is now changed from Noida to Gurgaon, and its update timestamp is now different than the insert timestamp. Because in my case, now only the update timestamp is changed and insert timestamp is the older one. Hope this is clear and easy. So this is how you can implement type 1 mapping, and that's it. All the best. Let me know if you guys have any question or concern. I will help you to sort out the issues. Thank you.